I'll send a message to the people in the waiting room.
Yeah.
We're live and ready to go.
Oh, sorry, Antoine Thompson. I was just running my mouth and didn't know I was muted. Uh, Good morning, everyone. Antoine Thompson, Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition. Excited to be with you today. We have some great folks who are going to share some information. I do, as always, we have some industry updates. We do have some announcements as well. And we are excited because Saturday is International Biodiesel Day as we think about decarbonization in transportation. We know that, especially in our medium to heavy duty areas, there's a lot of work to do. There's over 2 million medium and heavy duty vehicles, far more than 2 million, but that's a small number. And we've got a lot of work to do to be able to clean up that sector. And it won't all happen with electric, it's too costly. And especially when we're talking about those big 18-wheeler trucks and some of the dump trucks and all that good stuff. So biodiesel becomes a great way to do that. So we're going to have some experts who are going to talk about how they've done it and how you can do it as well, and some of the low cost ways you can do that as well. But I do, as always, have a few announcements for you, and we'll also give some, I'll call some of our key stakeholders and members to give some industry updates on some of the things they're working for the last few minutes of the call, as always. One of the things I would like to mention is that we have our conference coming up, virtual October 15th. In person will be October 16th. It will take place in Greenbelt, Maryland. I see Steve from Greenbelt on there this morning. Good to see you, Steve. And so we're looking forward to that. Make sure you register for
Big ass bug in the hallway.
the conference. If we can mute the folks, please. And so that'll be October 15th on Zoom, and October 16th in person. We have some amazing panels, all different fuel categories, lots of training. We'll have some training for fleets as well. So let all the fleet leaders know that there will be training on both days as well. We actually have an A-Fleet training that will be providing as well. If you're not knowledgeable about A-Fleet, you want to learn about that tool as well, which is really good for folks as well. So please sign up for that. There are a number of funding opportunities on the street right now. We will put some of those in the chat for you. Lots of funding on the street. We're working on some community charging infrastructure grants that are due at the end of August. August is fun because there's always a lot of federal applications, and because of Biden and the Congress, there's so much funding hitting the street. But we are working on a number of those applications. If any of you are working on state and federal applications, you need project partners or funding, please letters of support or project partners, or you want me just to review it, some of our team members, we are able to do that. So please let me know about that as well. The last thing in terms of other announcements I want to mention, today is Saturday is International Biodiesel Day. Next month will be Drive Electric Week. So we will be doing a number of events around the region. And if you're doing anything for Drive Electric Week, let us know. We'd love to be able to participate and support those efforts. We are back to the annual conference. We are still looking for sponsors for that conference. We'd love to have everyone on here to make sure you buy a table as well. We're looking for more table sponsors, souvenir journal ads as well. So souvenir journal ads, tickets. We did receive a lot of nominations for awards. So sometime next week, we will begin to announce who the awardees will be within the next week or so. So we'll start announcing that. So you'll be able to come out and support and celebrate the folks for that. I forgot to mention with the annual conference as well, we are going to have a vehicle display. As always, you know, we love to showcase vehicles. So you all have 2 months to make sure that you have vehicles that you can bring and display. We love doing that at our recent golf tournament. We had some great vehicles at our night at Nationals Park. I know that Paul was out there, and we had some great vehicles from all over. We had we had a hydrogen car. We had WMATA had a transit bus. I know we had some DPW and DC water vehicles. We had a number of electric cars out there as well. So we had the whole gamut from biodiesel to hydrogen to electric to hybrid. We had the whole gamut. So we want to have a lot of vehicles out on display on October 16th. So everyone needs your help. Diane has a link. We'll hopefully we can throw that link in the chat so they can register to have vehicles there. It doesn't even cost you any money. It should be really exciting. I love that part about it. All right, so let me without further ado, membership. We can put in the chat as well. If you are not a member, join today. Only takes you 2 minutes. I want to recognize Indri, who is a new member, and we'll give her a chance to speak in a little bit under member and partner announcements. So without further, I would like to introduce, our folks who are speaking today. Let me do that. So we have three folks speaking today. We have Colin Heiler, he's CEO of Optimus Technologies. William Griffiths, who is the fleet administrator for DC Department of Public Works. And then we have Paul Winters, who's with Clean Fuels Alliance America. He heads all their federal government affairs, a great project partner, and we've been doing a lot of good stuff together in the biodiesel, renewable diesel space. So really excited to have them here with us today. So without further ado, I want to start. Let me make sure Diane sent me an agenda. Let me follow the agenda. Okay. And so our first speaker today, we're going to have Colin go first with Optimus Technologies. He's doing a lot of great work in our region, working on some projects in DC for the last several years or so. And he just started a new project in Prince George's County, Maryland. Colin, the floor is yours.
Perfect. I appreciate it. And Antoine, can you share the slides, or do you want to? Am I able
Diane
to do?
handed her, she's managing the slides.
All right, perfect. Well, while we're waiting for the slides here, as Antoine had mentioned, my name is Colin Heiler. I'm the CEO of Optimus Technologies. Optimus is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we've been working in the region for a number of years, having first started working with DC Department of Public Works back in 2015. And so what I'll do today is just provide a brief overview and kind of set the stage for William and Paul. So what's showcased here on the cover slide is actually DC Department of Department of Transportation plow truck operating on 100% biodiesel. This vehicle was introduced to the fleet a few years ago and funded through an EPA DERA grant. So we can go to the next slide. So today, generally, engines are compatible with blends up to about a 20% blend of biodiesel. Some manufacturers actually have a lower cap, but 20% is the most common average for utilization of biodiesel blended with 80% petroleum diesel, 20% biodiesel. What Optimus does is manufacture a fuel system technology that upgrades engines to use 100% biodiesel. So we're eliminating that blend limitation, providing the vehicle the ability to run up to 100% biodiesel and never inhibiting its use of traditional diesel or those low-level blends of biodiesel. Next slide. So why biodiesel? We'll talk a little bit more, and Paul certainly can dive in on the details here. But from a carbon reduction standpoint, biodiesel is actually sourced from 100% biogenic carbon molecules. So the plant and animal feedstocks that go into producing biodiesel are 100% biogenic. So they offset the fossil or the anthropogenic carbon that's emitted from traditional diesel fuel, but also from electric vehicles if they're powered by coal or natural gas or other fossil-based origin energy sources. Because it's a liquid fuel, it can be utilized in existing infrastructure. Biodiesel as a commercial fuel has been available since the early 2000s. So it's already at scale. There are billions of gallons of biodiesel in the US today. It's relatively low cost compared to other decarbonization solutions, particularly when you're looking in that heavy duty space. So plow trucks, refuse trucks, Class 8 over-the-road vehicles, things like that. And the fuel itself is biodegradable. It biodegrades at the same rate that household sugar does. And from a toxicity standpoint, the molecule is actually less toxic than household table salt. Next slide. So at Optimus, we help support customers from the full infrastructure standpoint. So the on-vehicle technology, but also providing information on the refueling, helping with technology and infrastructure for the stations. And then all of that feeds into an analytics and data reporting structure. So it's only deployment and carbon reductions are only as good as what you can measure. And so our technology provides both data sets on the vehicle side as well as at the station side to help fleets and help customers deploy and report on their carbon reductions and the benefits that they're getting from deploying biodiesel. Next slide. So one of the ways that the technology works, we actually have a shared duty cycle between diesel and biodiesel. Vehicle is always going to start up and shut down on traditional diesel. That allows us to overcome some of the core challenges with biodiesel, such as crankcase oil dilution and gelling in cold weather. When the operating parameters are met, the system will switch from diesel over to biodiesel. The majority of the operation of the vehicle is actually going to occur on B100. And then at shutdown, when the driver removes the key, the engine's going to flush briefly with traditional diesel before it shuts down. So this process is circular. Startup and shutdown will always happen on traditional diesel. And the majority of the operation of the asset is going to occur on biodiesel. And that allows us, again, to overcome most of the challenges that are associated with traditionally using higher blends of biodiesel. And as you can see on the next slide, we actually have validated the technology down to negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is our engineering team. We took a truck and actually installed the truck in a cold chamber, brought that truck down to negative 25 degrees. The image on the right there is biodiesel. It's actually a solid block at startup. When that truck is started at that temperature, we use waste heat from the engine to condition the biodiesel, which enables it to then switch over and operate at those temperatures with 100% biodiesel with no challenges. And so we've got plow trucks, we've got refuse trucks, we have water and sewer authority vehicles operating in the district on B100. And again, really for those heavy duty assets that are really challenging to decarbonize in other ways. Next slide. So with that, I really appreciate Antoine and the opportunity to share a little bit more about Optimus. I think we're going to cycle through the speakers and then maybe questions and discussion at the end. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Colin. I think Mr. Thompson had to take another call. Thank you so much. And everybody, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try to address them at the end of the session. So again, thank you, Colin, for being with us. Our
All right.
next speaker, there you go. Mr. Thompson's back.
No worries, no worries. Next, we'll go to Paul Winters, who will talk about some of the good work that they're doing with Clean Fuels Alliance America, getting the fuel around, dealing with some of the policy things that are important as well, and some of the education and training that we'll hear from Bill. I see a number of his team members on and talk about how it's working, right? They've been doing it for a long time, and he's got a wealth of experience in this space. So we'll go to Paul, then we'll go to William Griffiths after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Antoine. And I really appreciate you hosting this celebration of International Biodiesel Day. I'm going to focus on biodiesel and renewable diesel here in the United States because our production and capacity for these fuels is growing robustly right now. In last year, we produced more than 2 billion gallons of biodiesel and another 2 billion gallons of renewable diesel here in the United States. So that production is continuing to grow this year. We expect we could hit 5 billion gallons total this year. And that is enabling cities and states and municipalities to adopt 100% renewable solutions to displace diesel fuel in these heavy-duty applications. And both of these fuels are drop-in fuels. That is important, especially on days like today where we're facing weather emergencies and heavy-duty vehicles have got to be ready to deploy and address these situations. And that, having a drop-in fuel enables them to meet air quality standards and meet policy goals to reduce carbon emissions. This is a tool that's available today, and our slogan is better, cleaner now, because it is a better, cleaner solution that is available widely today. Overall, around on a national basis, with more than 4 billion gallons of production, we are meeting 7 to 8% of the nation's demand for diesel fuel. But of course, our product is being used primarily in certain locations. DC is using 100% biodiesel in a number of vehicles. New York City is using 100% renewable diesel and biodiesel blends. California, on a statewide basis, is displacing 70% of their on-road diesel demand with biodiesel and renewable diesel. And it definitely demonstrates the potential to deploy a low carbon solution today and still meet demand, even as we're transitioning to other technologies and making those a larger part of fleet operations around the country. But there are other benefits to using biodiesel today. Given the raw materials that our fuels are made from, either surplus vegetable oils or waste oils, including used cooking oil and animal fats that are rendered. The carbon reductions on an average basis are above 70% compared to petroleum diesel. And that figure has been confirmed over and over again through life cycle analysis by the Department of Energy's Argonne National Lab. And it's not just carbon reductions, there's also benefits to reducing tailpipe emissions, the criteria pollutants that are part of diesel emissions, diesel exhaust emissions. So we can cut those criteria pollutants in half immediately by replacing diesel fuel with biodiesel or renewable diesel, and especially with technologies like Collins that allow 100% biodiesel use. Our organization also focuses on fuel quality. We've had a fuel quality program that nearly every producer in both the United States and Canada belong to, and they are ensuring that every drop of biodiesel that you find available in the market today is meeting the highest standards of quality. That quality also ensures that we continue to have a beneficial impact on fuel and engine operations and on the engine emissions. Reducing those criteria pollutants is important to local communities. There is a direct correlation between the criteria pollutant emissions that come from diesel vehicles and health impacts like cardiovascular disease, asthma, cancer, other things. By cutting those criteria pollutants in half, you can cut the health impacts by half. And you can cut the associated costs of those health impacts as well. So already, Clean Fuel sponsored a study by Trinity Consultants, and results are available on our website at cleanfuels.org, but it shows real dollar and cent impacts for cities in reducing healthcare costs associated with diesel emissions under a scenario where that city or that community adopts a 100% biodiesel solution. So I would encourage people to look at that study, contact us to discuss it. We continue to look at various communities around the country where there are transportation hubs. We have additional markets coming to us looking for low carbon solutions, including rail, shipping, heating oil uses, which are prominent up and down the East Coast. They can also benefit from these same carbon reductions and criteria pollutant reductions and have a beneficial impact in their communities. All of that is part of our study, and we continue to expand the number of communities that we're looking at. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Antoine.
All right, next, thank you. And if you have any of those studies you want to put in the chat, that would be, oh, you did already. All right. Next, we will go to Mr. Griffiths, who has 30 years of experience being a fleet leader all over the region and even in federal government as well. So thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Really appreciate you guys inviting me to participate, and thankful that we can share some of the good work that we're doing here at DC government. So as he mentioned earlier, so I've been with DC government now just going on just over 3 months now, but I've been in fleet for over 33 years. And this is actually my second go round in the DC region. So I'm really excited to be back and participating with the local clean cities. So DC government fleet, we support over 6,000 vehicles and pieces of equipment supporting agencies like Department of Public Works, Police Department, Fire Department, DC Public Schools. And DC has actually been a leader in alternative fuels going back to the days of Ron Flowers. So for those of you who have been around for a while, DC government's really been paving the way for a lot of this. Our work in biodiesel really goes back to 2012, 2013, when we piloted 5 of our refuse vehicles with biodiesels with B20. And now here we are, 2024, and we have over 125 heavy-duty vehicles running at B100. And we have over 1,000 pieces of vehicles and pieces of equipment that are running B20. So we're thankful to be partnered with Optimus and Clean Fuels. As we think about it, we have 3 B100 tanks that are modified and heated that we use year round in that equipment, primarily in our refuse and trash hauler and heavy duty Department of Public Works vehicles. We run B20 most of the year. Which has been, again, as we think about DC and our commitment to the environment and our emissions reduction goals, this helps us, especially as those vehicles are serving our community for things like trash, refuse, public transit, DOT. And we think we run that B20 most of the year. And then we switch to a B5 in the wintertime. And that helps us with that transition. So the biggest questions that we get asked as we do this is, are you having any concerns? Are you having any maintenance? Are there any performance issues? And my background as a maintenance professional, I can tell you unequivocally, no. Even going back to my days in the federal government and when we were just using B20, no. In DC government, we're not having those maintenance issues. We're not having any performance regeneration or in the maintenance history, what you would call a D-rate issue. We're not having experienced any of those. we didn't have to modify our maintenance program. And why is that? And it's really thankful to our partners. The biodiesel that we get is provided by BQ 9000 certified providers, and it meets that ASTM standard that we're looking for to make sure that we're getting that quality of biodiesel. Again, for us, it's all about partnering. As we think about it, as Anton mentioned earlier, as the DC government has a really aggressive policy right now is transitioning to electric. We view this as part of the tools in our toolbox to help achieve our emissions reduction. And as we start to transition our fleet, B100 is definitely going to be that one piece that we're going to leverage for the foreseeable future to help us achieve our emissions reduction goals. I can pass that back on to Anton if you'd like. Definitely open to any questions, I'm sure, as along with the folks to hear.
Yeah. So I wanted to get this thing going for each of you. It would be really great. I'll start with you, William. You were around when this thing first started. You said how many years ago was that?
So when I was here, last go round, I was here 10 years ago, and I was here for 11 years. And when I was at the Smithsonian, and that was my first go round with Clean Cities and the federal government. Like, we were early adopters with biodiesel. We started out B5, B10, B20. And I can remember myself and my fuel guy going out and actually testing the drops, like right there, because we were afraid that we were going to have to. And I'll be honest with you, being a maintenance guy, we were changing filters aggressively. Like, it was more of a fear of not knowing what the outcome would be. And that's where, when I got here and I heard about the program that we were running here, the first question I asked my fuel manager and my maintenance guys, I'm like, do we have an aggressive maintenance program? And the answer to that question is no. And it goes to what I was saying. It's good when you have partners like Colin and Paul, and they've got those providers that are certified. You don't have to worry about that testing. When you get that fuel delivery and you get your manifest and the testing that comes along with it, and you see that it's meeting those ASTM standards, it gives you the confidence that you can run that in these vehicles year round. And the Optimus technologies that we're using in our trash vehicles and some of our heavy large vehicles, we have the confidence from them that they're going to perform. And like I mentioned, we haven't had any maintenance issues related not only to the technology in the vehicle, but no performance issues, which again, in our business is critical when you got to go and pick up trash every day.
That's amazing. And Colin, you've worked with them, right? What have been some of the things you've learned over the last several years working with them?
Yeah, so I think I think one of the most critical things is not to disrupt the operation, right? And that is, for any successful project, it is making sure the maintenance schedules stay on track. It's making sure fuel deliveries and the operational piece is seamless, so that those vehicles that exist for a reason can actually fulfill their duty, right? Whether it's refuse collection, recycling collection, snow removal. Cities and municipalities don't have an excess of vehicles for no reason. Each particular piece of equipment has a stated duty and a stated purpose, and so in addition to really making sure that operationally things are reliable, things are seamless. The other thing that we've learned a lot is just how much pride a lot of the operators take in knowing that they're part of the solution. When we first started working with the district, we started with 6 refuse vehicles, and there were dedicated drivers for those particular vehicles so that it could be validated. And part of that, from our standpoint, really shine the light on the operators of the equipment, but also our need to really educate and make sure that that folks understood what the technology was, what the impact was, and how they were making the impact that they were making in the broader strategy, not only from a district, from a climate reduction target, but also globally the challenge to mitigate and address climate change. rolls down to an individual level, and the operators of this equipment are part of that solution.
Awesome, awesome. And if you could just share with how many other cities and communities you're working with across the country.
Yeah, we work with a large swath of cities and municipalities and state agencies. We're working with City of Madison, Wisconsin, City of Chicago,
Those
Iowa.
are some cold places.
Iowa Department of Transportation is operating the technology on snowplows with the equipment. And it is, a lot of it did start in the district from a municipal standpoint. Washington, D.C. was the first municipal customer to deploy the technology. And now, we're in about a dozen other cities and state agencies. In the region, we're working with DC Water and Sewer Authority, Department of Transportation, and Public Works. But in the process right now, actually, of launching a project with PG County on transit buses. So
I see Erica Bannerman from Prince George's counties on. Hey, Erica, how are you?
Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm
How's
doing
it
very
going?
well. Everything is going really well on a rainy Thursday.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Paul, I want to swing back over to you. One of the things, and I know you do a lot of the federal stuff, but there is a lot of federal money out, right? I know our office has won a few federal grants from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. There are ways that they can do these projects as well with CMAQ money, right, Colin? But Paul, what would you say? How do we continue to get the word out to local, state, and federal policymakers on how we can use this technology, both not only in the public sector, but in the private sector as well? What can we do? What can the folks on this call do to get that message out so we can continue to decarbonize the medium and heavy duty space?
Yeah, I do see at least one suggestion in the chat here from Joanne Ivanchik, and that is to have fleet managers who have experience with this technology reaching out and educating others. And I do know Jason Nort is on the call, and Jason has helped me to reach out through various events and try to educate the public. In fact, we joined an event on the National Mall, and Colin, Antoine, you came down to that event. Colin helped us to arrange a vehicle with the DC Department of Water to display and to talk about the technology. But we talked with a lot of people in DC that had relatively little idea that their city was using this technology and making an impact today. So that was one way to directly reach out. In fact, I talked to a lot of church groups and other groups there at that event who also were willing to become a conduit to get this information out to their communities. And that's certainly another aspect. But we do have fleet managers up and down the East Coast who we work with to try and get this information out, who are happy to discuss their use of the technology. We have fleets in Florida that are using biodiesel blends in their emergency equipment. We have fleets up in New York City that have been running on biodiesel and biodiesel blends for a decade or more, and we're talking about their fire trucks, their emergency response vehicles. They need a solution that they can rely on and still meet the cities and states' carbon reduction goals. So that's where biodiesel fits in today.
Nice, awesome. I wanted to give. I saw a couple of folks. Did anyone else have any questions? Did I get everyone, Jill, all the questions?
You did. Joanne also said, are people who are using this available to meet? So I think you all, or consult with others. So I think you answered it.
Yeah, so one of the things that our office is going to be doing, three things I wanted to announce today. One is we will be doing some lunch and learns. And so love for folks to think about hosting, being a site for a lunch and learn. One of them, Bill, maybe we can do one at your shop or one at Prince George's County or any other sites. We're going to be doing these quarterly. Our first one will be in September. So we're looking for a site host. So maybe Bill, if you're interested in being, we can invite folks to come on out. The other thing that we will be doing is quarterly networking events for fleets as well. So you all would be more than happy to, you're more than welcome to be one of the speakers at one of our networking events. So we'll kick those off quarterly as well. The last thing I'm going to mention is starting in October 1st, we'll have a quarterly Just for Fleets newsletter, and we can get something in our first one around, maybe we can feature you, Paula or Colin, in our Just for Fleets newsletter, which will go out on October 1st. So those are three things I wanted to share with you all that I think that would be great, so that we can spread this good news. Is that okay? You think those are good? All right. Get a thumbs up. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So I want to go around quickly and give a few of our folks a chance to give some industry updates on what they're working on as well. And then we'll come back for some closing remarks, and I'll make a couple quick announcements. All right. Andrew, you wanted to share what you're working on?
Okay, thanks, Antoine. Thank you, guys. It was a great presentation on biofuels. I love to eat strawberries and grow them in the backyard. So that would help cities to give us a chance to eat some fresh strawberries, because now there's too many bad things going in the food in the cities, especially. Thank you for having me. We're a new member, Sustainable U. We do not work with the vehicles, but we do work with buildings and making sure that they reduce their carbon footprint. Specifically, we offer free solar in DC, but we do have many partners to help us to reduce building carbon footprint. For example, geothermal, AC, and cooling and heating in buildings that will help buildings. Solar, of course, we work all DMV, but we have partners all over US. If anyone is interested in DC free solar, that would be great. Thank you, Ton.
All right, and put your contact information in the chat as well. I wanted to swing over to David Gelman. I haven't seen him in a minute. David, you have any industry updates for us? David, anything you're working on you wanted to share with us? Okay. All right, he must can't unlock his thing right now. All right, and I wanted to swing back over. Let me go over to one of our other partners, Mr. Lewis. How are you today? In fact, we're going to be reaching out to you, Mr. Lewis, to be on a panel at our conference. So Diane will be sending you a letter sometime between now and Monday.
Okay, fantastic. Good.
All right, yeah, we have you listed to for an invite to be on our transportation panel on the 16th in the afternoon. So
okay, the 16th of this month?
No, of October.
Of October. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Looking forward to it. We're still at MTA working with our 18-month battery electric bus pilot. We've got 7 buses here working out of the Kirk division, and we got Board of Public Works approval in July to procure an additional 20 battery electric buses. So we are actually working on installing 4 dual fixed chargers. We're finishing up the procurement now for that at our Northwest Bus Division. So we continue to grow steady, full speed ahead, but very steady. And in the race between the turtle and the hare, the turtle wins. So you got to get your folks up to speed on the technology, both for the recharging infrastructure as well as the technology on the buses, and it's all about people.
And did you all ever submit that application? I know we did a.
Yes, unfortunately, we were unsuccessful with the low-no application and the carbon reduction program. Very, very competitive. I think they got like 5 to 10 times more requests for funds than funds were available. So very competitive. I think Maryland did get one for
Prince George's County got one.
Yes. And they also got one for working with some other states. I think it was like New Jersey, New York, Delaware for the medium and heavy duty vehicle recharging infrastructure along the corridor, the 95 corridor, which is a good one, in terms of how we're working on putting in recharging infrastructure for larger vehicles.
All right, thank you. I want to go over to Falad.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what are you working on? Give me your member. I know we're going to be meeting on Monday on trying to save the world, but what do you got going on?
Well, as you say, saving the world, I guess to save the world, we got to see how to get to them. You guys are doing pretty good on the top side. And I think it's just a matter of can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, all right. So basically, what I'm trying to figure is you have some very good guests, like Mr. Lewis and the bus and so forth. And I think to me, the effort is how do we basically get down to the ground, like the gentleman mentioned, as far as biodiesel, the health benefits, and so forth. But the impact as far as the community. And I think how can we basically collaborate in terms of, yes, we should all be basically promoting it from the ground upward. Most of your government programs is top down. So when they issue their money, going to the various government agencies, we'll notice a lot maybe going for those who are dispersing the information. I maintain the money should start at the bottom and let it flow back up. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at, maybe for the gentleman with the bus. Yes, we should be working with him in terms of how do we basically extend the whole charging effort. But with that effort, it should also be then as far as what's the microgrids? How are we feeding the community, the farmers, and so forth? So that's kind of what, as I have long discussed with you, when is the effort as far as collaboration, ground up, the communities themselves, if we can't have economic development and community development, then all of it is to waste. So that's kind of where Hadid is at. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to give each of our, before I go to our panelists to give some closing remarks, I want to mention again the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Annual Conference is October 15th and 16th. The 15th will be virtual. They did put a link in the chat, and the 16th will be in person at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. It's going to be a phenomenal conference, the biggest conference in the region in the clean energy transportation space. So we are so excited about it, and make sure that you get your souvenir journal ad. You can sponsor a booth. You can get to deploy vehicles as well. If you want to donate some door prizes, you can do that as well. We will be also recognizing a number of industry leaders and professionals. I know that a number of folks, at least their organizations, have received awards in the past and continue to do the great work. So I like to we'll go with Bill in reverse order. We'll start with Bill, then go to Paul. We'll start with Bill, then Paul, then Colin. Whatever. We'll start with Bill. So-
Santon, so look, I'll leave you. I'll be very brief. If anybody wants the opportunity to come on out, see these vehicles in operation, learn more about the Optimus technologies, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I can drop my mobile in the chat, my mobile and my email in the chat. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Don't be afraid of something. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I know after doing this for 33 years, the biggest mistakes you can make are not asking questions and being afraid to, just step up and say, hey, I want to learn more. I don't know. So please, leverage groups and the folks that are a part of the Clean Cities.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your hard work and your leadership and Clean Cities' longtime partnership with your department as well. And looking forward to us getting together sometime this month for breakfast or lunch with Ron Flowers, the guru. So so folks know, we actually are going to be announcing either tomorrow or Monday. We have $10,000 in scholarships we're giving away to students this year. So from the Ron Flower GWR Ron Flower Scholarship 10. And we have so many people that applied. We even had some graduate students who wanted us to give them some money, but we told them we couldn't do that. We just don't have that kind of budget. But $10,000. So thank you for all the folks who were able to do that. We're going to give each of the students a $1,000 scholarship. So thank you for everyone that has helped with that. So next we will go to Colin, then we'll go to Paul.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the opportunity to share, more about the work that we're doing, and want to echo the previous sentiment that ask questions, dive in. The pathway to a low carbon future requires everybody's involvement. It requires a wide variety of technologies and solutions, and there's no singular silver bullet that's going to solve fleet decarbonization or building decarbonization or anything like that. So we are available to help in whatever way we can, and don't hesitate to reach out.
And I know she dropped off, but I did see Rachel on from WMATA. I'm not sure if I think she may have dropped off, but shout out to Rachel from WMATA who was on, and we'll definitely have her and their team speaking at our conference as well. Last but not least, Paul Winters.
Yeah, I'll finish with a statistic that my colleague Veronica Bradley likes to put out there. She's our director of environmental science. But for every 5 years that we wait to address carbon emissions, we have to do 13 times the amount of work as it started when we should have started. And already as a nation, we've waited far too long. So we need every solution that we can use today, every tool in the toolbox, all of the above approach to begin immediately addressing carbon, addressing the particulate emissions that cause health problems, and we need to deploy solutions today. Biodiesel is available and it's here, and I absolutely encourage everyone to learn more about it and to see how it will work in their fleets.
That's scary, that number you just mentioned. You wanted to make sure we were paying attention, huh? 13 times. Did you say 13 times? 13
times the amount of work for every 5 years that we wait.
That's scary. That's really scary. Well, without further ado, let's put our hands together for our speakers. They were amazing. A lot of great information. You all can share this. It's on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook today. You go right to our website, and all the social media links are on there, so you can just share that information. I want to thank our speakers. I want to thank you. And of course, we want to thank our staff and consultants for making today possible. I think someone was trying to say something. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Okay, so without further ado, I want to thank you all for being here. Let's continue to move onwards and upwards, and happy International Biodiesel Day. See you next time. Bye-bye.